So today I wanted to bring you a new video and show you guys some advanced techniques between TeamBuilder and Photoshop that you guys can use to make, to expand your horizons and really get some fire concepts and logos and designs in TeamBuilder, for your teams. Like, you're really going to stand out, amongst the crowd with these types of things that I'm going to show you guys today, and it's going to be really cool. I'm also going to show you guys really quickly how to do that Power Rangers, design that I have in the thumbnail. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to the person that suggested this idea to me. I'm going to put their comment up on the screen right here, man. Definitely an awesome idea. You guys have been coming up with some amazing suggestions, and I'm going to continue to make them. Like I said, man, just keep letting me know. Leave comments and let me know what you guys want to see. Real quick, though, I just have to say it again. I know I say it all the time, but you guys have been so amazing with the support, man, and I cannot thank you guys enough. If you're rocking with me, man, I would love for you to stick around and subscribe. And if you have a good time in this video, if you learned something, man, or if you just like the video in general, give it a thumbs up for me because it helps so much. But let's jump into this because I know you guys are waiting to find out how to do this. Also, let me just say real fast, once we get through these advanced techniques, I will show you guys, like a time-lapse version at the end of how I put together, the Power Rangers uniform and everything like that. And I also will be sharing it as well with you guys, like I share everything else, on my, TeamBuilder account. If you just go to Real Steve under, username in game, you will find all of my designs that I've made, and feel free to use them. But as I'm sure a lot of you guys are already waiting to know about that striped field that I showed in the thumbnail. So many people asked about that. One guy in particular that I told him that I wasn't really sure if it was possible, right? I thought it was impossible, but I figured out a technique to make it work, and I'm about to show you guys right now what that technique is. So for this technique, we're actually going to start off in TeamBuilder this time, and I'm going to show you why real quick. All we need to do is go right here to the stadium and then just go to field. Go to somewhere where you can see the entire field here, like either logo, surface, one of these options, one of these tabs over here to the left. And then whatever program or, software you have installed on your computer, whether pre-installed or you installed it yourself, that you can capture a screenshot with, use that tool, right? So on a Mac, we're just going to use the actual tool that's called Screenshot, and then we're going to head into Photoshop, right? So we're going to open Photoshop, open a blank document, and we're going to bring that screenshot in just by dragging and dropping it into Photoshop. Now that we have this in here, we don't even have to rasterize this one this time because we're not going to actually be working with this image. We're only using it as a reference, okay? So I'm going to show you guys how you can do, like red lines. Actually, it doesn't matter the color, really. You can actually do a different color for every line if you wanted to, or you could do half one color, half another color. However you guys want to do it, you could alternate colors. But I'm just going to show you real quick. We'll start off with red lines. We're going to go to the rectangle tool here, right? And then I'm just going to, I'll even zoom in so I can show you, so you can see a little bit better here. We'll zoom in, use the rectangle tool over here in the tools panel. And then we're just going to start with, between the 5 and 10 yard line on the left side here. And we are just going to go like this. And we are going to drag this out, right? And boom, we're going to make one rectangle just like this. Now, once we have it, the rectangle that we want, we can actually resize it. I'm going to hold shift just to resize it a little bit so that it's in between the lines perfectly, right? You don't want it to be, over the lines, but you also don't want it to be like, showing any of the grass, right? You don't want that. You don't want it to be like that because then it's showing some of the grass on that side, right? We want it to actually be, covering all of the grass. If you ever look at my screen and see this moving like this, that I'm just using the arrow keys on my keyboard to do that. And if you ever need precision movement, just use the arrow keys on your keyboard with the, whatever you're moving, have it selected and use those arrow keys. You'll get precise movements 1 pixel at a time. So that is a good way to do it. So we've got this now good to go. Boom. We've got it filled in. And now I'm going to show you exactly what we do now. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And then all we're going to do is take this rectangle, right? Click it, hit Command C or Control C to copy, Control V or Command V to paste. And then we are going to just put it right there, right? We're going to put it every other, 5 yards. So, or you could do it, you could do this however you really want to do it, but I'm just going to show you this method to make the striped field look. Actually, I'll show you how it looks with alternating colors as well, but we're just going to hit Command or Control V again to go ahead and paste it. And then we're just going to put these every 5 yards. Now, once we have it all laid out the way we want it, we can go ahead and hide the field that's in the background. Now, just do not move any of these rectangles. Make sure they do not move at this point, right? Now, we can, however, click a few of them, and if we go over here to appearance and then go to fill, we can, we can change the fill. We can make, let's say if I wanted, it to be a red and gray, right? So we've got every other fill is going to be gray. We just go to fill, and you can see recently used colors. That's all I'm doing is going to the recently used colors, but you could go into your color picker and choose the color that way if you want. But I'm just going to go to these recently used colors and use the eyedropper to select the recently used color. And now we've got every other stripe is gray, right? Now, this is the important part. Grab your move tool, not your selection tool, but your move tool, right? Just click anywhere up here and drag out this selection so that you select, and you can see as I'm selecting these one at a time over here in the right side in the layers panel, it is selecting every one of them one at a time, right? And you don't have to even drag out over the entire thing. As long as you touch part of it, it'll select it. And boom, there we go. Now we've got all of them selected. The important thing here is now we are going to go to opacity, and you're going to want to reduce this. You don't want solid lines on your field. It's not going to look right. I mean, you can do that, but you're going to hide your numbers if you do that, right? And we don't want that. I don't have any method for getting it underneath the numbers, unfortunately. Now I can say this. If you really wanted to put some time into this, you could mask out the area that the numbers are in each and every one of these little spots. So like, let's say if I went to this 10-yard line here, I could actually go in with the pen tool and mask out these numbers every, with this particular one, it wouldn't be that easy or that difficult on this side because it's all just the zeros. But then when you go on this side, you'd have to mask out the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 4, 3, 2, 1. So just keep that in mind. You could do it if you really wanted to get it, intricate with this. But you don't really have to do that. If you just reduce the opacity to about, and what we're doing here is making this transparent. Like we're making it more see-through. About 70, I think is good, right? That is still going to show up really well on your field. Now that we've got it, now again, do not move any of those rectangles. Leave them where they are. Don't center it. Don't do any of that. Because now what we're going to do, as we have this, we are literally just going to go ahead and hit File, Export, then go to Export As, and boom. Now we've got this, and we can just export it. It's 130 kilobytes, which is plenty small enough. Hit Export, and we're just going to say Field Lines. I think I already saved one to test this out. So I'll say Field Lines 2. Now we're in TeamBuilder. We're just going to go ahead and add the custom layer and add that striped, logo that we made just by hitting the plus. I've already added it in for us to save some time. Now that we've got it added, we are just going to scale it up. It kind of scrunched it down for some odd reason, but we're going to scale it up until we get it to where we need it to be. And the important part is that if you notice that it is like pressed inward, just unlock the proportions over here, the ratio. Just hitting this little thing. If there's no line in between, you've got it unlocked. And now if you're careful to not move it, up, right, left, down, or anything like that, all you should have to do at that point is literally just use the scaling for the X and Y to get this right here. Hit apply, and boom, now we have our striped field. I'm going to save this and submit it, and after we are finished with the tutorial, I will show you exactly how all of these things look at the end. Now, the next advanced technique I want to show you is how to actually do a clipping mask in Photoshop to use for anything that you might want to use it for in TeamBuilder. So I just looked this up. I typed in flame background into Google Images, and you could pick whichever one you think looks the best. I think actually that looks, excuse the pun, but that looks kind of fire. We're going to use that one, but you could really use anything, right? You could use any image, whether it's one of these or anything that you find that works, that works for you, that you like, right? So this is what we're going to do. First things first, we are going to make, we'll do this with a text since it's a little bit more of an advanced technique, but you could do this with any shape whatsoever, but I think it's going to look really cool with some text. So let's go ahead and type out, a, I don't know, let's say you were doing this for a team called the Firebirds, right? Which would be kind of cool. We did a Firebirds team before, and this would have been a really cool thing to do with that team, but let's see here. Now we've got this text all, this text is kind of spaced out. If you ever want to change your text in any way, you can do that by going over here into this characters panel, or if you don't see characters, you can go to window and then go down here to character, and if you just click that, you'll see it. Character will be there, but I have it over here under properties. But you can see here, I've got the spacing set to 500. If I just set this back down to 0, boom, it's going to, space it properly. And you can change that value however you, see fit. And there we go. So we've got our Firebirds text here, but we're going to get a little bit of a, thicker font. Let's go down the list and see if we can find something. That should be, well, actually, you know what? Where's this? Yeah, Bolby is a good one. Boom. There we go. So that's kind of a bold font, right? But you could do this with any font. I'm just using this as an example. So we've got this thing that says Firebirds here. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to change this. Actually, we can leave it red. Doesn't matter what color it is, and I'll show you it doesn't matter. So what we're going to do now is we are going to rasterize this font. So we're just going to right-click and hit rasterize type. It was a little bit off screen there, but if anytime you right-click on, a typeface or a text, you will see rasterize type if it's not already rasterized, all right? So now we've got it rasterized, and we can even, like I showed you guys before, if you hold down Command or Control, if you're on Windows, and click and drag, you can even, skew this if you want to. We'll make it a little bit skewed like that just to give it a little bit of a cooler look. And there we go. So now we are going to just, I don't know why I keep repositioning that. Now we're going to drag in from our desktop, our, flame thing that we just found online. And now here's what we're going to do. Here's the cool part. We're going to resize this so that it is completely over top of the Firebirds text. Okay. Now that we've got it over top of the Firebirds text, you could do this in any order, but you want to rasterize it at some point, right? Just so that we can work with it a little bit easier. And then now that we've got it over top, we are going to click on it. We're going to right click and then go to create clipping mask. Now you can also do this by going to, by making sure it's selected and then going up to your menu here where it says like file, edit, image and all that. If you just go to layer, you will also see create clipping mask here as well. And I'll do it from here since you guys can see this a little bit better, but you could right click down in the layers panel and do it as well. But create clipping mask and boom, there you go. As you can see, our Firebirds type, now it has a clipping mask with that, logo in it, or I'm sorry, that graphic in it. Now, another thing you can do is you can independently still move these things around. You could, if you hold shift and select them both in the layers panel here, you can move them around together. But I'm going to show you something really cool. If you wanted to adjust this, let's say I wanted to adjust where this graphic was or make it smaller or bigger. If I click on that graphic in the layers panel, I can start to move this around where it is. And you can see that red through it. That's why I said it doesn't matter what color you make it, but you could make it black or gray so that it blends better if there are parts of it showing. But typically you're not going to want parts of it showing, right? But we could also make this bigger. You can also adjust this independently too. So if I go ahead and resize this, right, you see that the graphic in the background is not moving with it. It's not moving with it. Now, we could resize it by holding shift and selecting both of them, and we could resize it together, but we can resize this independently, which is really, really cool, right? So if we resized it to here and moved it to about, like right here, say you wanted like mostly flames in here, you didn't really want the smoke, something like that. Didn't want the smoke, right? But yeah, there you go. Now, the next advanced technique I want to talk about has to do with pattern fills, and I'm going to show you guys how you can make patterns into fills in Photoshop. So it's a very, very simple process. I went on to Google Images and I just typed in Shamrock graphic, and I got this right here, this cool little graphic. We're going to use this Notre Dame image. I'm going to drag that Shamrock in from my desktop, which is where I saved it, and boom, there we go. Now, I've got this Shamrock. I'm going to just size it down like that, and then I'm going to show you what we're going to do. We're going to ignore the Notre Dame graphic for now, right? We're going to go ahead and rasterize this, and then I'm going to hold Command or Control, hit C, hold Command or Control, hit V to copy this, and then I'm going to bring these together, right? I'm going to do this with a few of these. So I put these all together like this, and again, this is kind of the same concept that we did with the stickers for the the helmet stickers video. We just got whatever. We've got like 16 of these stacked up next to each other, and then what we're gonna do is define a pattern here, right? So I'm gonna grab my rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to drag out over top of these. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Just make sure that you've got them selected. You've got the rectangular marquee tool over top of them. And then we are going to hit edit up in the menus here and then define pattern. Okay, boom. And we're just going to call this shamrocks. Boom, hit OK. And now I'm going to show you exactly how this works. First things first, let me go ahead and group these, and then we'll hide them. And now we can bring our Notre Dame image back. If we go to the magic wand tool, right, we've got the Notre Dame image selected, the logo. We just select this navy blue inside here, right? Because that's all we want to work with right now. I'm going to hit Command C and then Command V, or Control C and Control V to copy and paste it. And boom, if I hide that, you'll see we've just got the navy blue on its own layer, right? If I hide the original logo, you'll see the navy blue. Doesn't have to be like, the edges aren't perfect, but I've showed you in another tutorial how you can clean up those edges. We're not going to do that right now because it's not really necessary, because I'm going to show you what we're going to do. Now, if I double click on the layer that just has the navy blue ND on it, we're going to go to pattern overlay, right? And then now that looks actually kind of cool off the bat, but if we click this little arrow, it'll give us our custom patterns at the bottom here, right? If we click the shamrock, there you go, boom, as you can see. And again, now you could do this with anything. Let's say if I went online and I type in let's see, camouflage background. There we go. Let's see if we can find something cool. All right, this one's not bad. I'll drag this over to the desktop, and then I will drag it in, and boom. Now, if we've got it there, I'll rasterize it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my rectangular marquee tool up here, and I'm just going to drag out over a portion of this. I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to go to define pattern, and then we'll call it camo. Boom. And then we literally don't even need this camo anymore. We can literally just go down here to the trash can and delete it because we don't need it. We literally don't need it. Now, if I go back to this layer right here, go to our pattern overlay, click on this. Now I've got my camo, and boom. That's how you do, layers for, pattern overlays. And it'll work with anything. If I just make like let's say if I make a circular shape here or a triangle or something like that, I just make this triangle, and then it's a shape. I double click it in the layers over here to bring up the layer styles, and I go to pattern overlay. Boom, there you go. And you can even, resize this if you want to. So scaling it right here with this, we'll scale it down or up. This slider right here, that is right here, right? You can scale it however you want it to be, right? And you could do this with anything that you find online or any images that you already have. You can do this just by selecting something, going to edit, define pattern, and then boom, you will have that pattern to work with. You name it, it'll be in your patterns under layer styles. So the next advanced technique I want to show you guys has to do with filters and layer styles, right? So I was looking at this helmet, this reference image, as I was making the Power Rangers design, and I saw that, first of all, it's got like kind of a 3D look to the teeth, number one. And number two, it's also got like this kind of texture, around the, outer part of the visor there, right? Or the, the visor. So there are ways that we can accomplish, a similar look, right? So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to unhide the, the two layers that I made here, right? So we're left just with this. And I just used the pen tool to make all of these, right? I literally use the pen tool for all of this. And I've already added a gradient. And for those of you that haven't seen the other tutorials, if you want to add a gradient, and I'll hide the teeth for you, to this shape right here that is just like the outer part of the visor, you're just going to come down here to the layers panel, to the shape, whichever shape you're working with. You're going to double click, and then here you'll see gradient overlay. And then of course, once you add it, if you click into this, this gradient here where it shows you like the color, you can go in here and change the colors, right? You can change it to anything. If I wanted to change this to, red or something like that, as you can see, it updates in real time. It gives you the preview. I'm going to hit cancel because I don't want to change it to that. So there we go. I have it the way that we want it to be, right? But what we're going to do is we are going to mess with these teeth. Okay, because on the original image, like I said, they're like, they're like kind of 3D. Right? So that's what we're going to do with our teeth. I'm going to click the teeth group layer that I have here because they're all under this group. And double click on that group layer, and I'm going to go up here where it says bevel and emboss. I'm going to hit bevel and emboss, right? And now as you can see, it gives it like that 3D look. And you can also go in and change the color of the highlights and the shadows, right? So what I did with this is that instead of it being white, I kind of made it more of a gray, like a light gray, because that's what it looked like on the original teeth. And then for the shadows, I didn't make it completely black like this, because as you can see, if I mess with the shadows, if I bring it to white, it kind of takes it away. But if I bring it down, you know, a lot darker, it goes to black. I just made it like a dark gray, because that's what it kind of looks like. But you can make these shadows and highlights any color you want. You could even change the angle of how the shadows and highlights hit the, you know, image based on this right here. Like if I was to mess with this, you could see the angle changing on the screen, right? And again, this is just going to basically be, the angle means where is your light coming from. Now we hit OK, and boom, we've got our 3D looking teeth. They look a lot more like they do in the original reference image, right? And I can show you guys, like I said, they look a lot more like that 3D. I was going to put like the red on there, but I just figured, you know, this is perfectly fine. You know, it looks good enough for now. Now another thing, like I said, is like this texture out here, right? And this is what we call, it actually looks like noise. It actually looks like, it's what we call noise. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. If I go up to the filters window, right, I got to select something that we can work with, and it's going to be this shape that we have here. If I go up to the filters window, you're going to see all of these filters, and you can even go into the filter gallery, which is kind of cut off up here, but you can go into the filter gallery even and go through all of the different filters. And just to give it a little bit of authenticity, I'm going to select my shape, go up here to the filters, and under noise, you're going to see add noise, right? And it's going to bring up this box for me to adjust the amount of noise that we want. We don't want too much, maybe something like 5, and boom. Actually, that looks really good, right? Because now when we look at the reference, it looks a lot more like this reference image. It almost looks identical. And now if we add the teeth back in, boom, now we've got something that looks a lot like this reference image just by going up here and adding in a filter. And again, you could add a bunch of different things. Let's say if I wanted to blur this image that I have up on the screen right here, if I go to Gaussian blur, right, you can adjust the blur. Let me give you like another example here. If I go to like stylize, you know, say if I wanted to go to oil paint, this will give us, we'll go to preview. See, it'll give us like this oil paint style here. We'll go back to filter, under stylize again, and let's see here if I get another one. Solarize is kind of a cool one because it gives you this effect. It's almost like a negative effect, right? Again, like I said, get into Photoshop and just mess around with these things and see what works for you. All of these things, man, will add to your creativity and just give you ideas as you're going to make really, really cool, you know, cool things, and to bring in a TeamBuilder to make very unique looks that you're not going to see anywhere else. So for this Power Ranger design, as you can see, I used a lot of reference images that I found online of the helmet and, you know, of the entire uniform, you know, all together. But I got side views, front views of the helmet. This one of the side view, you know, these two of the side view right here are the two that I mainly used for the design because I wanted to get the eyes and everything like that. But this one here with the gray background, very, very good reference image. And, you know, as you can see, we're going to bring this into Photoshop. And then once we got it in, the main thing that I wanted to do here, the main thing I wanted to accomplish was to, you know, create with the pen tool these, you know, elements, you know, one at a time. So I wanted to make the visor here, you know, so zooming in on the visor, as you can see, I'm grabbing the pen tool, as you can see right here, right? The pen tool is just normal pen tool, right? So we're going to make the visor, we're going to make the outer part of the visor, like the outline of the visor, the border. We're going to make the teeth. I've got, you know, a new layer selected here, and then I'm just starting with the pen tool. And again, this, you know, kind of, you know, falls under not advanced techniques, but it's good techniques, right? You want to make sure that you have no fill on this at all. You can have a stroke, but not a fill, because you want to be able to see all of your lines, right? So if we need to, you know, we're making a line, and these may look like straight lines, but we may need to curve them a little bit, and then go back, and then, you know, select the previous point by holding down, again, Alt or Option on your keyboard, and clicking that point so that we don't get that big curve depending on, you know, how much we curved the previous line, right? So if you just want to have full control of each individual point or each individual line, like I said, you could just go back and use that technique that I've shown you guys a bunch of different times, and you could change these curves by, you know, taking the handles and all that as well. But as you can see, I'm going to speed things up here. You can see we made each individual tooth. You know, we've got that shape for the outline for the border and everything like that. And then I'm using some of these same techniques that I showed you guys earlier for the teeth, you know, putting the noise in there, putting the 3D bevel in there, all of this stuff, right? You know, making the front part of the visor, and then of course making this eye. All of this is really just using the pen tool and then using different techniques. I also even used the pen tool to make that shadow, or that highlight, I'm sorry, and gave it a gradient so that it was, you know, that it looked like it was actually a real highlight. And then of course, for the actual uniform, the jersey part, I made the, you know, the little diamonds on the chest, the big diamonds on the chest, I should say, and then made the belt. The belt is its own individual layer as well, as you'll see, but I made these 3 diamonds, you know, and just put them the way that they look like they would be on the actual uniform itself. And then, of course, the belt, very, very simple. I took a reference image of that, you know, the buckle part of the belt or whatever, you know, the morphin part of the belt, if you will. And, you know, I just put these, you know, these black lines, these black strokes with it, and, you know, tried to get it as accurate as possible. But again, I'm using all of the same techniques that I've shown you guys, you know, for making this Power Ranger uniform. That's why, you know, I wanted to show you, you know, throughout these videos, I'm just giving you guys a bunch of different techniques that you can use, you know, to put these things together and get as creative as you possibly can, right? And, you know, again, you'll find yourself if you just experiment, you'll find yourself coming across things that are really, really awesome, and you know, sometimes completely by accident, right? But this one was a suggestion, like I said earlier, and not by accident at all, but I am very happy with the way that it came out. So I want to start off by giving you guys a preview of this field, this striped different color field that we made here. And man, like I said, there's so many different things that you guys could do with this. It looks really cool in game, and because we gave it that opacity, you know, that, you know, see-through, you know, areas or whatever, you know, see-through color, I should say, we can actually see the numbers on the field, right? So, and you know, again, feel free to do this as, you know, any way you want to do it. You know what I mean? Just, you know, be as creative as you can with it. It looks really cool. And again, I know that this is going to be music to the ears of some of you guys that have really, really been wanting, you know, this concept, right? This concept of this striped field here. And as a matter of fact, let's go ahead in real quick to the instant replay, and I will zoom out on the field so you guys can get like a bird's eye view. So, there you go, my boys. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, I wanted to give you guys a preview of this Power Rangers uniform in-game so that you guys can see it in action here. But yeah, man, I just wanted to let you guys know once again, thank you guys so much for clicking on the video, and thank you guys so much for all of the support that you guys have shown recently. Again, like I said earlier, man, if you guys want to download these teams, just go to Real Steve in-game under usernames RealSteev, no spaces, STEEV. Keep that in mind. It's spelled wrong, but, you know, I did it on purpose. But anyway, like I said, man, you know, feel free to use these. And again, like I know I sound like a broken record, but I cannot tell you guys enough how much I appreciate every single one of you. Keep the questions coming, man. Keep the questions, the suggestions, all of that stuff coming. We have so much more to come. You know, like I said before, EA has fixed a lot of things, so now we can start the dynasty as well. So yeah, man, this community, things are going to get really, really fun here soon. Hope that you guys will stick around for that. If you're not subscribed, I would love for you to stick around and become part of the family. And if you had a good time in this one, man, leave it a like. But as I always say, we will be back very, very soon with more, and I will catch you boys in the next one.